So, hello, David.
Hello, Stuart.
Hello, David. It's great to have the opportunity to talk with you about good company and our collaboration on what's become a significant health and well-being project. Can we begin by you telling us a bit about the work of Age Exchange and your role within the organization?
Yes, so Age Exchange is a charity. It was founded in 1983 by my predecessor, Pam Schweitzer. At the time, it was the first charity of its kind in the UK. It's entirely committed to what was then just called reminiscence work, which we now call Reminiscence Arts. We operate out of our base in Blackheath in southeast London, where we have about 180, 200,000 visitors a year. We're different things really, but at the heart of the original mission of the charity was using reminiscence to enable often neglected individuals, neglected groups to share their story, and for that story to be expressed through the arts, through all art forms, really. At the very beginning, Age Exchange was founded as a theatre company, as a reminiscence theatre company, and we had a professional theatre company. But when I joined, a lot of our work by then was very much about supporting the performance of older people. But the other side of Age Exchange's life has really been around the intergenerational element of its history, which is obviously the name gives that one away. We had many volunteers. We've just under 100 volunteers. I joined Age Exchange in 1998, originally for 6 months, and stayed because I just thought, gosh, working with real people, working on real life stories was just the most exciting thing I'd ever done, having come from a theatre background. Um, and the intergenerational side was, on one side, we worked a lot in schools, primary and secondary schools, where we would train older people to go into those schools, and they would relate their memories to national curriculum subject areas. So there's always been this at the heart of it, this thing about untold stories, people who have often been outside of the arts brought into the arts, and also looking at the other side, actually underlying all of this really has been about combating ageism. A lot of our work historically has been in institutionalized care. Um, I mean, in 26 years, gosh, that's changed so dramatically. Um, so we work in continuing care, specialist care. We've worked in hospices, we've worked in hospitals, and we've worked in daycare as well. But increasingly, we have provided training for professional carers in reminiscence work and person-centered care or dementia care. And we looked at how we could use reminiscence um, to support the well-being of people with dementia through to the end of life.
Our paths crossed in Essex, where you were working, and Orchestras Live has had a long history of partnership working with different co-production partners and different orchestras. So we've worked together on developing the Good Company project, as it became known, for several years now, haven't we? And it goes back to before the
It's fun.
pandemic.
Well,
How did, just thinking back to those days when we felt we should be collaborating, how did we come up with the vision for it? How did that emerge? And also, why was a partnership with Orchestras Live, an orchestral producer, attractive to Age Exchange?
we were looking at how our practice as reminiscence arts practitioners needed to develop and was developing in the work we did with people with dementia. And that was a massive wake-up call for Age Exchange. We learned a lot. And that's when we met you. Sort of, we were on the cusp of only working in residential care to working in through the lottery, which then said, okay, why don't you take that model and work in daycare? And that's when we met you, and it was just a very sort of happy timing, because there's one
Yes.
one of the things that was very obvious to us was that we had missing chunks in what we were as a charity, and we needed to look far more at sensory approaches to working with people with higher levels of dementia. We needed to look more at embodied approaches to working people through the body, and not necessarily depending on narrative recall. We needed to look at identity in a different way and so on. And so meeting and seeing your work was incredibly exciting. And I have to say, the obvious thing is music speaks in a way that nothing else can, really, doesn't it? I mean, the way that the impact of music and rhythm on the soul, on the memory, on the spirit is like nothing else. And you see it all the time in the work with older people and with vulnerable people.